Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to today's show. Today, I'm up here at Cornerstone Real Estate. We're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people ask me about, and I thought, well, let's come up and speak to the expert himself. Join me is Bear Grylls. How you doing, Bear? Martin. How you doing?
How you doing?
He's growing a beard. What's that about?
Well, that's as long as I've seen you last. Tell you what.
Oh, you're looking good, mate. You're looking good. How's it?
Nice. Yeah, really good, mate. Really
Good.
good. Yeah, the Bear Grylls is for the wife. She seemed to like it after 15 years. Yeah, happy wife, happy life.
There you go, indeed. So, right, the question I've got for you, and I get asked this question a lot, guys, is what's involved in buying a property and renting out? So I want to paint the picture. I've got some money. It's just sat in the bank, not doing a lot. I think to myself, do you know what? This city is really going guns a-blazing. There's a lot of new developments going on. Should I invest my money? And if I do and I want to rent it out, what is involved? So I've got some money. It's there on the table. I want to go and see a place. You found me a perfect place. What do I do?
Well, let's just sort of unwind it a little bit because, I mean, you know, the one thing, as this is a general topic, is that, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody, you know, so we're not saying that just because you've got some money, it's the most fantastic thing to do.
Yeah.
It depends on people's circumstances, you know, I mean, some will say, oh, you put it in crypto or stocks and shares or whatever, you know, everyone's different.
Yeah.
But they're, you know, that being said, I mean, I've got, you know, probably about 20, 25 big investors. They roll their rental incomes over until they can afford another one, and they just keep adding to their portfolio. The biggest thing to start with is to try and break down, obviously, the percentages of the return you're either expecting to get or realistically going to get. So the way that I personally do it for my own investments, and, you know, I try and suggest to any investor regarding this is try and break down, you know, the expected monthly costs, the expected monthly rental return, okay, minus the costs.
So where's a good area right now?
Oh God, I mean, condos larger than average, you know, so something around, say, 40, 45 square meters upwards, one bedroom. That being said, I mean, I've just bought a studio myself, 35 square meter in Hyde Park.
Okay.
You know, I didn't pay a lot, but, you know, the rental return will be quite good. Always have it in mind as well, when you're looking at something for rental investment. Of course, it's your money and you've got to like it. But at the end of the day, you're going to give me the keys back. So, you know, I'd like not... I'm saying that, you know, I know everything because I don't. But, you know, the point is you're looking at it for rental return. You're not looking for it as, you know, I'm going to be living here for, you know, in 5 or 10 years' time. I mean, if you are sort of thinking like that, then, you know, have an eye on something else that you will be buying. And then you can always sell that rental investment once it's achieved what you're happy with and then move on yourself. At least you're on the property ladder, you know, so you have got property that might not be suitable for you immediately right now, but you're on that ladder of appreciation. So, you know, should the future property that you really want to live in gain in appreciation, you know, the cost to change shouldn't be too great.
I mean, when I drive around the city here, and you know, you'll know far more about this than I do, but there seems to be so many new developments going up, both condominiums as well as villages.
Yeah.
In terms of like the best possible rental project, would it be a house or would it be a condo?
Again, hard to say. I mean, so the long-term rental on condominium is doing really well right now. You know, I am genuinely saying that, you know, as soon as we're listing properties, they're being rented, whether they're by us or whether they're being by another agent. You know, you've always got your obvious victims, you know, Grand Avenue, Centara, the Urban Suite, City Garden in the
PTY within a day.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that would be the greatest rental investment because the price of these new units in some of these condominiums. I mean, I was having a chat yesterday with a guy that bought 2 in Copacabana.
Yeah.
You know, really happy. You know, I see a lot of people in it. I chose this one because, you know, there is, you know, 2,000 people in the building. However, he paid too much.
Right.
You know, versus what they're going to achieve long term. I mean, since I've had the chat, and he's got a 35 square meter, 1 bedroom at 20,000 baht a month. Now, they used to be like 12,000 baht.
I was just going to say, when I first came in, I mean, I had a 3-bedroom pool villa. I was paying 15,000 baht a month. I mean, that 3-bedroom pool villa now is about 28,000.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how it's gone up in terms.
Well, yeah, but on the flip side of that, you know, he's asking 20. I mean, I could rent it today at 15, 16, 17,000 baht. I mean, yesterday I had 3 inquiries alone for the same property, trying to offer, okay, I'll pay 6 months up front under a year's contract, or, you know, all these different variations. He's stuck at 20 because he's calculating it back from what he paid for the condo.
Right.
So, he paid 4 million baht or something for the unit, even 20,000 baht. By the time, and again, these are the sort of some of the costs that we'll pick up on later, but, he paid 4 million baht, rent it for 20, he'll pay an agency fee of 1 month's rent to rent it out for a year and to manage it for him, which is only about 8% of the total. It's not like a full 10%.
But it's peace of mind, though. It's peace of mind. I know guys that buy properties and do the rentals themselves, and I'm like, you are just walking into a minefield of possible problems where I can go, Martin, there's my property, there's the keys, you have all the problems, let me crack on.
Let's be fair. I get guys like you, you're renting through us.
Yeah.
I don't hear a peep apart from the first of the month. Rental's paid, happy days. But then, there are some people that, can't change a light bulb, the slightest little drip from a tap and they're going mad and they want an engineer around immediately and stuff like that. But going back to this guy, 20,000 baht rent minus the 20,000, the maintenance fees in some of these new condos, again, is worth bearing in mind, 60, 70, 80 baht a square meter for 35 square meters is huge, Pay that for a year, that's another month of your rental gone. Have a gap in between, checking somebody in, checking somebody out, and that's another month gone. So you're now down to 9 months calculation. But as Cornerstone Real Estate, we will divide rental income by 9 months. That's our rule of thumb. We don't just go, no, you'll get 20,000 baht times 12, divide it by the value, and there's your percentage, because, that's your gross rental income. But everyone wants to know, what am I going to be left with,
Yeah.
So
let's just say I've got some money.
Yeah.
I've gone out and we found a property. Let's call it probably be a house or a condo. I found a property. Now I'm going to put the keys down. What's the process? What's happens? How do we do this? There's guys out here watching that may be thinking, do you know what? I want to invest, because this city, whether you accept it or not, whether you believe it or not, this city is rapidly changing, and it's changing for the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes, we've still got the nightlife area. That's going to be manipulated around, moved about. But the actual the city itself, I think, is just going through the roof. It really is. So if I've got the money, I bought the keys, put them on the table, and I say, right, I now want to rent that property out. What is the process?
So we obviously meet you. Yeah, we take the keys. We go and check the property. Obviously, we've got eyes looking around, and Trevor, by the way, you couldn't just do this or swap this. It's better if I don't know, like something's hanging off a wall or something doesn't work. Take it away or replace it. Don't leave it as it is, because you're going to end up replacing it. If like there's a washing machine that's never worked and it's on the balcony, just take it away, because if a tenant sees it, they're expecting a washing machine, right? And then you say, it's never worked. Well, they're going to haunt one. So that's the tip. Let us have a look around it. Get it.
You create the inventory.
Yeah. And we'll take photographic inventory as long as a main list to start, so that, in 12 months' time, we've got a record of the condition of the place. So again, we're not perfect, nobody is, but at least we can sort of, negotiate at the end to say, look, these scratches and chips or whatever, they were there from the start. As I've touched on another video, a lot of owners that, might try and pull a fast one, sort of delay on security deposits, because again, that's something that most people mention all the time. By the time they see our contracts and they see how we deal with people face to face, I mean, it's not unusual. Thankfully, it's not that often. But I mean, I've had landlords walk out and say, look, I'm not comfortable renting it. Okay, I could take it like personally or be upset because obviously one of my staff, I'm taking some money out of their pocket. But, if they're not comfortable with honouring or even signing landlord responsibilities now, that's a sign that,
later on,
yeah, and again, we can't guarantee that we're going to protect everybody, but we've got ourselves. We've also got Peter behind the scenes as well, entire legal protection, and we're on the phone to him 3 or 4 times a year for help, and he's really good as well. I can't recommend him enough.
So you've done the inventory.
Yeah,
that's now in place, and now you're going to advertise my property.
Yeah.
When the tenant comes in, what's the system for like securing the fact that they are going to come in and I'm going to get my rental, etc.? Yeah. Is there like contracts involved, etc.? How does that all work?
So yeah, I mean, let's say we go and I go and look at your condo and I'm happy with it. We'll just take a holding deposit immediately, because again, that they are getting rented very quickly. Yeah. So if let's just say you're the owner, Trevor, I've just taken somebody, I'm going to make the contracts, I'm going to need some paperwork from you. Your rental's 20,000 baht. I just took 10 grand for the minute just to hold it. Okay. Let's get to the contract part first. Everything gets secured under a contract. So with everybody that deals with Mark at One Stop, as an owner, I need title deeds. I need house books, and I need your passport as well as the tenant's passport and visa.
Okay.
We make the contract. It's 5 pages long. It protects both people. It's not swayed by either side, but tenants got to look after the place, got to service the air conditioners after the first service, need to clean it at the end of the contract. If it's never been serviced and it just clearly states it in the contract through the 1-year period, we will deduct an aircon service from you because that's only fair. As a landlord, you'll make sure that it's all clean, and again, deep clean, aircon serviced and everything when they're moving in. Protection, like if, for example, on the odd occasion, like the landlord doesn't want to take responsibility, after 14 days of written notice, you can, as a tenant, you can go ahead and do the replacement or the repair and then just deduct it from the rent. Fully legal. Yeah. So,
there's 2 weeks, guys.
There's 2 weeks of a pain in the backside, let's be honest. But then again, that being said, I know the reputation of Cornerstone, we've got really good owners, we look after their money, we never pay them late, assuming that we get the rent on time from the tenant. And honestly, 90% of all our owners are fantastic.
So with the property, is it a yearly rental contract?
Typically, yeah. There are options for 6 months. We don't do monthly. I don't even want to get involved with monthly. It's there are things administered wrong by people that do monthly, and also it's just you can't pay me enough to take care of a holiday 1 month.
So 6 months to 12 months.
12 months. Like I say, it's getting harder to find 6 months because even in condos, we will stick to condos at the minute, like Lagunas or Rivieras and stuff, where there's 1,000 units. I say either they're not for rent anyway. The people that bought them. They might not even move in. Again, it's not unusual. Chinese for sure, they'll buy property and never open the door. The scarcity of property, supply and demand, rental rates are going up. This extent of this guy at 20,000 baht is overpriced. Yeah, I can see why he's trying to price it like that, but you're going to have to be realistic. And again, we can talk maybe about what percentages you're going to expect.
Well, that was my next question is, so I've got the property now. Now I'm getting this income coming in. What's my legal status regarding this additional income that I've now generated?
So the fact about how everything is at the minute is you'll just put it in your pocket.
Okay.
This is how it's happening. We're not getting into the legalities at the minute. This is just typically how pretty much Thailand's run. You've got to think that some of the people in power, if they start to enforce some of these things, they also own resorts and hundreds of properties here and there. So they'll affect themselves. But at the minute, in practice, we are collecting rents. The tenant can transfer it directly to you. It can be transferred here. A lot of our investors are overseas. So again, we hold it. We'll either transfer it into their Thai bank or just hold it until they come and visit. We've got 10 of my guys, for example, they just come and they just grab a pile of money and just go on a jolly for 10 days. Check.
Now, there's a reason. Get yourself a house or a condo and then come over, you just go on the jolly.
Everything okay? And it's like, yeah, mate, everything's taken care of. There's no issues at all. Really? Okay, can I grab a pile of money? Yeah, go and enjoy yourself. And, we'll see them again in 6 months, 9 months and rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
But, so we'll take the money. And at the minute, it's pretty much net,
Okay.
So you're taking the money. The legalities, if you want to go down that route, I had to write it down because
it's complex.
It's not, but it's not off the top of my head, believe it or not, because we're not actually dealing with this. But rental could be taxable under personal income tax.
Okay.
Basically, if you are earning less than 150,000 baht in rental income per year, you don't pay any. Or you're not due to pay any.
Yeah.
Up to 300,000 baht is 5%.
Yeah.
So that's a rental of around 25,000 baht. I'll just skip a few up. So 750,000 to 1 million baht income, which is roughly about 85,000 baht a month, goes up to say 20,000. 20%.
20% of your income. Wow.
But you're allowed what they call an allowable deduction. So let's say you earn 500,000 baht. You're allowed to deduct 30% of that. Okay, so you're down to 350, and that's then the category that you sit within. And 350 sits at 10%.
Well, there you go.
Okay, but it's, as far as I know, there are routes for you to physically go and pay these income tax, but no one does. I'm sure you'll get to a stage where, we will all abide by
Yeah.
you know, Thailand law and everything else.
Thailand, welcome in Thailand.
Exactly. I mean, you know, I'm not sort of saying or encouraging anything illegal, which, I mean, I don't even know where to recommend you go and pay your taxes. You know, it's really, really, really uncommon.
Yeah. Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because like you say, that there are these systems in place, but of course they just don't get enforced. So, you know, people don't know. But so in terms of the contract, then it's a 12-month contract.
Yeah.
You agree to rent, you take care of everything. In typical sort of you're not, I mean, you've been here a long time, longer than me. In terms of the property going up in value, is that likely, or are they likely to devalue? Because people keep saying, yeah, well, the minute you buy it, that's it, you've lost your money, it would go down by 20%. But then when I look around the city, some of the prices I'm seeing now, I'm like, Jesus, like that's, wow.
Yeah, I mean, so Pattaya is a unique sort of city within Thailand. You know, if you're talking like Bangkok, for example, then yeah, values are appreciating year on year.
Yes.
The reason why Pattaya has not appreciated to the same extent is because this is mainly a foreign city. So foreigners are buying with foreign currency in Thailand. So you have to take it you have to understand that, for example, the Russians, they were buying in 2005. Then they invaded Ukraine. There was a 50% drop in their ruble value.
Well,
so they could sell their property for 50% less than they bought it for and recover their money.
Yes.
So you've got all these exchange rates and changes like that. But I would say right now, over the last, I mean, we did this in a previous video, over COVID, we sold a heck of a lot of property. From people that, you know, we're in that sort of like, well, if I sell, I don't really care, you know, it'll be great to like, I don't think I'm ever going to be coming back to use this thing. So I just want to get rid.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that was overvalue also started to get sold.
Right.
And that then pushed the property market forward. The undervalued properties got sold. So when you haven't got any cheap ones anymore, you get to a new median, you know. We've got a lot of people now snapping up a lot of, say, 5, 10, 15-year-old properties. I just did one myself.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the new value properties, okay, I'm not expecting them to appreciate greatly from where they are. And again, for rental investment, I mean, you'd be bonkers. You've got to wait 3 years. You've got to put your money in. And by the time you paid 5 million baht for 25 square meters, even Airbnbs and dailies, which you can't do, but people do.
Yeah.
I still don't see that making much more than, you know, 5 or 6% a year. It's the larger places where people can live in it for a year. The house market's really good for rental, but there was one thing I wanted to sort of, not because I devalue the cheap end of the market, I don't mean that at all. But when you're looking at rental investment, you know, like I'll buy a $1 million baht condo and I'll rent it for $8,000. You know, that's a good monthly return. However, a TV is probably going to cost more than the rental. You know, a repair for, I don't know, coolant in a refrigerator or just something, you know, when you look at what that rental is, it could be 50% of your whole month's rental income.
Yeah.
The people that I see that actually genuinely make good money are probably renting for, you know, 25,000 baht up to 60, 70,000 baht. Because if you need to go and replace a TV and somebody's paying you 50,000 baht a month, walk over Big C, they're 12,000 baht for 65-inch Samsungs, you know? So, you know, you're still getting money.
Yeah.
With the rental investments, you know, sadly to say that, you know, you're looking at like maybe 3 or 4 million baht start off. That's what, 100,000 US dollars, you know, up to around about 200,000. And again, some people might feel uncomfortable, you know, $200,000 in a foreign country, in a house that I can't own and everything else, you know, again.
But one of the things that I've
noticed, but people that do make good money.
But the one thing I've noticed about those is that this city is tremendously changing rapidly, so quick. And I think on the back of that, also, there are a lot of big businesses that are going to bring over their workforce to start developing. And of course, then you get into that situation where you get a company say, right, we're going to guarantee you 12 months rental because we're going to put our staff in it. So again, you know, it's another aspect to consider. The city is changing dramatically. So it will increase the value, I believe. It will. I mean, some of the plans that they've got, I mean, you know, and they're starting to do some of them. That's what I've noticed as well now. They are starting to gradually do these plans, and the city been promising for the last 10 years I've been here. So I think in the future, things will really improve, and I think the value of property will go up, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is Thailand and this is Pattaya, and, it's going to take a lifetime for it to ever be done. But this is why we live here, I mean, it's kind of comical as well as everything else. I mean, is it affecting our day-to-day life if something doesn't get built in a year because that's what they said? I mean, come on, look at the Utapao airport, I mean, it's been dragging on and they're fighting who's going to do what for, I mean, but no, just enjoy your day. It's a great day. I mean, it's not raining today.
There's no rain.
The reason why we're sitting in the office is and the storms. We could have gone out.
And if we'd have gone out today, you guarantee it would have rained.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's been really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I much appreciate it. So, guys, what I'm going to say to you is this: if you are considering investing and you are thinking to yourself, do you know what, I want to get hold of a property and I want to, take the plunge, or maybe you've already got a portfolio and expand it, get in touch with Martin and his team. They've been a long time, very professional, very thorough service. And as you heard today, you go through step by step and come and find out for yourself.
Yeah, that's important.
Thank you very much, man. It's been good.
It's good. Just finding out what people actually want, because then, when you hear of minimum 10% minimum, that's not true.
No, well, there you go. Right, so come and speak to Martin, and you might not recognise him by then because he keeps continuing his wife pleaser. You never know.
Like ZZ
Top, yeah, me. Right, there we are, guys. Hopefully you found that interesting, something different. So thank you very much for watching. As always, please remember to hit the subscribe button. And also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Have a look into TikTok. TikTok's about daytime activities here in the city, and the Instagram's all about the nightlife. So go on either of those platforms, search for Buzz and Pattaya. Jump into Discord. Discord's over 22,000 members in there. Martin's got an active channel there, so you can connect with him on there as well and ask questions, etc. So have a look in Discord. It's totally free of charge. And if you haven't, jump into kick.com/Buzz and Pattaya. Unfiltered, uncensored videos, live streams, which we go off to random locations, bars, etc., and bring a bit of fun to the channel. So there you are.
Can I just stop you 1 second? Sorry.
Go on.
I have a blog purely on rental investment. So
I'll put the link in here.
Put a link in it and I'll stick it in the Discord.
Yeah, we'll put. Yeah, right. So it'll be in Discord, and also I'll put the link onto the video description down there in case you're not in Discord. All right, there we are. That's it from me. That's it from Martin. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And please, as always, wherever you're in the world, stay safe.